Hey everyone, good morning. Hello, welcome. Welcome to my YouTube channel. How's it going? I'm Todd Nauck. My name's Todd Nauck. I'm a professional comic book artist, and I'm continuing the COVID season Post-it pop art live streams. Got a new Post-it note illustration we're going to do today. We're continuing Alter Ego Week, so as you probably guessed by the title of this live stream, this is Steve Rogers / Captain America. So we're going to do another half and half Steve Rogers, half Captain America. So the classic comic book costume version. So yeah, this will be fun because I've never done a half and half Steve Rogers. Pretty much Spider-Man, Peter Parker. I've done that a bajillion times because we see that reflected in the comics. Whenever Peter Parker's spider sense is tingling, we'll see them do the half mask thing to communicate to the reader. Spider-Man is sensing something, even though he's Peter Parker at the moment. So, but yeah, I thought it'd be fun to just do a bunch of half and halves this week. So, yeah, Captain Rogers, or Captain America / Steve Rogers. Yeah, so feel free to draw along. That's the point I was wanting to make next. Feel free to draw along with me. You don't have to draw on a Post-it. If you don't have Post-its, that's okay. Draw on whatever paper you have. Sketchbook, notepad, a legal pad with the lines, the yellow paper with the lines on it there, ruled paper, that's fine. Use whatever tools you have. School pencils, colored pencils, crayons, ballpoint pen, felt tip pen, whatever you have. Just draw along. Let's make some shapes and lines. What do you say? So, speaking of which, why don't I stop jibber-jabbering and let's flip the camera around and let's start drawing. So glad you're here. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining me. So, just readjust everything here and we can get the art going. There we go. A lot of people ask what sort of clamp I use for my rig here. I'm live streaming from my iPhone 10, and I use this UBesize, UBEESIZE clamp with a ring light. So this was a gift from a friend to help me with my live stream. So the same friend that gave me the colored lights that you see behind me now. So yeah, here we go. Got a kind of a light blue Post-it so we can catch all the cool colors of Captain America. So going to go through all those basic steps. And we're in week 6 now of this COVID stay-at-home season. Week 6 of these live streams during this COVID stay-at-home season, I should say. This is still the beginning of week 6 of these live streams. So if you've watched most of these, you know the steps I take. The circle for the head. Bring the line down for the jawline. Cutting over to the chin and back. Let's get that center line drop down there. Now, Steve Rogers has a bit more square of a jaw than Peter Parker, so we really want to reflect that in the head shape. You can bring the necklines down. They kind of pull to the inside, and then the shoulders swoop out to the outside. Now, he's a bit bulkier than Spider-Man. Not as bulky as the Hulk or Thor, but he is in tip-top shape. We will say that. Not to say Peter Parker or Spider-Man is out of shape. It's just slightly different shapes. Spider-Man's more of a spindly spider. Sort of, he's got a kind of more lean. Captain America has a bit more bulk, but like I said, not quite as big as Thor and definitely not as big as the Hulk. Those are 4 different sized gentlemen. Well, the Hulk, I guess, isn't that gentle, but we'll consider Bruce Banner a gentleman. So, I have my neck muscles here, pulling down to that where the shoulder bones meet, the clavicles here. Saw me do these almost exact same shapes for Peter Parker's Spider-Man yesterday, but we're just adding a little more beef, just a little bit. And in the sketch stage, this is where you can figure out, this is where we do the math. We figure out the formula. Do things need to be a little wider in the jaw, a little thicker in the neck, broader in the shoulders? We can make those adjustments. Didn't mean to go all Sean Connery on you. We can make those adjustments as we sketch. So halfway from the top of the head, boom, eye line. Halfway from the eye line to the chin, ba-bow. That's where the nose is going to fall. And halfway from the nose to the chin, mouth line. Roughly. We can adjust these depending on the character. Because every shape is a little bit, or every person's head, it might have a little bit of its own variation of shape. Kind of rough in the sides of the head there. So I'm just putting in all my guidelines so I can know where to put my details. So the eyes, falling right on that eye line there. Going to be these almond shapes. Put one on each side of that center line and your character will not look like a Picasso painting. Nothing wrong with a Picasso painting. That's just not the direction I'm going today. Maybe one day I should do a Marvel Universe in a Picasso style. Put both eyes on the one side of the head and get really... Now we have Steve Rogers over on this side, and we have Captain America over on this side. So we have SR for Steve Rogers, CA for Captain America. So we're going to figure out his nose here. I like to do a little diamond shape to kind of know where the tip of my nose is. More details to come. And then I have the nostrils kind of on each side. Kind of the nostril comes down, and then you have the little nostril hole. Doesn't have too bulbous of a tip of a nose. And a nice straight bridge there. Just pick one side to indicate the bridge. Have the hair. Now let's see the hair. Let's see, those are the eyebrows. There would be an eyebrow on this side, but his mask is probably going to cover that up. Now for his hairline, top of the head to the eye line, about halfway is where a hairline can start. You can move that up or down depending on how much hair. Steve Rogers has a pretty good head of hair, which parts over here on the side, so it swoops over. Now we're not going to see this part because it's going to be covered by his mask, but I want to know where it is so I can get that good swoop going. And the hair kind of sticks up off of the skull here a little bit. Let's see, where was that? Let's see, top of the eyebrow, bottom of the nose, the ear. We'll go there. And he's got a pretty close cut. You know, keeps it close from his time in the military. So he, well, World War II days, you know, close cut. Got that nice part, some nice flow, but still not too long or shaggy of hair. Definitely not quite as shaggy as Peter Parker was yesterday. It's a little cleaner. Bangs don't get too long, but there is a bit of, he does style it parted on his left and swooping to the right. Not too long of a sideburn. Okay, and then his mouth. I like to put in that little teardrop thing for the philtrum, that little divot between our nose and top lip. Helps me get the right distance between. We're going to put a smile here on Captain America. But not a big toothy grin, but just that kind of that kind smile. That I got your back sort of smile. Might make adjustments as I go here. Give him kind eyes. We're going to border on not quite as cheesy as public service announcement Captain America, like from the movies, like, "Hi, I'm Captain America. You're a gym teacher, blah, 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 jibbity blue, blue, blah, blah, blue." You know, it's not that. Can't remember his whole shtick from the Spider-Man Homecoming bit, which I thought was really funny. That was a really funny, unexpected little nod there, a little Marvel Cinematic Universe crossover. Oh, let's see, we got to get the ear on this side because even with the mask on, his ears still do stick out. So eyebrow, nose, drop in that ear. I'll make sure the ears line up as best as possible. Just adjusting this jawline to account for the, I want to have a nice big strong jaw and chin. Just take out a few of these lines here to a little more clarity for myself when I go to inks. It's getting a little too muddy with all the sketch lines. Okay, now for his mask will come down. Let's see, first I like to figure out the part around his eye. Goes just under the eyebrow. That's the way I like to draw it. Don't like to see the eyebrow personally. That's my personal take. If you like to see the eyebrow, lift that eye hole in the mask higher so you can see the eyebrow if you want. Will not fault you for that. And this kind of hugs right to the skull, or very close to the skull. Maybe just a little bit above to account for some of the hair under there, but not too far. Don't want him to look like a cone head. And then let's see, he's got his wings here. I always thought these wings were cool. I always dug these as a kid because it made him look so different from any other superhero. Thought it looked a little bit like the Flash, but the Flash from DC Comics, he has his wings down here over his ears. They're part of his ear guard. For Captain America, they're over here on the temple. And then the A, like so, this is where the hairline is, kind of the top of the forehead. The forehead arcs like this. The A fits snugly in there. And I like a big, thick, chunky A. I may even, since I'm drawing the comic book version, I always like that Jack Kirby black shadow on the forehead. I always thought that was cool. And that black kind of runs right here along this part of his face. I just thought that was I thought that was just a kind of a striking sort of look, and really kind of that dark shadow on his forehead really just kind of grounded that A on his forehead there. Now let's see. Now we got the, let's see, we'll have the pupils and irises. The iris is the color part of the eye. So I work that in, then I put in a little pupil, little highlight. Just readjusting the smile here, making sure it's just the right kind of smile that I want. Like I said, we don't want a big toothy grin. We don't want it to look like a, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a character that has a real big toothy grin. We don't want it to look like maybe like the Joker or something like that. We don't want it just really big or anything like that. So now let's see. Captain America's uniform, we'll start to rough that in. Put a little dark spot here under the chin where it'd be casting a shadow. Now let's see. We're going to give him his chainmail, or his scale mail, I should say. His scale mail kind of armor. What I do is kind of like a little waffle crisscross as a guideline. Especially on an illustration this small. We don't have to get in and draw every little thing. And maybe, you know what we'll do? What will be fun here is, where's my template? Because we can't see his shield, sometimes he wears his shield on the back of his uniform. So I'm going to use my circle template here. Boom. Shield. We'll just fill this in black. We'll probably put a nice little fade right here. So this part will be filled in black. And we'll fade it like this because of the light source. So it helps us give a little more rounded curvature to it. And then this part here will be the red trim. And then of course he wears this as a backpack. So he's got the arm straps apparently extend so that he can wear it on his shoulders. So we'll give him those shoulder straps. Put a little buckle right there for adjustment. So when he can adjust it to fit on his arm. Oh, look at there, more detail. That's fine. But the shield would not carry over onto this part because Steve Rogers, and at least at this time, is not wearing his shield. So let's see. Let's give him some sort of non-superhero outfit. Maybe we'll give him like a mock turtleneck and a jacket. So maybe a dark colored mock turtleneck. We'll give him sort of kind of like a little bit of a flak jacket. We'll probably make that like army green. This will be dark. We'll give it a dark, put a little trim there on the jacket collar. There we go. So Steve Rogers, Captain America. Pencil line art. Time to take it to the inks. So I'm going to use my microns, 01005 and the 08. Might bring some brush pen in as well if necessary. So I'm going to start with the hair because it overlaps. I like to work foreground to background wherever I can. Kind of thicker on the outside lines, thinner wisps. Wisps can be a hard word to say early in the morning. Wisps on the inside for nice crisp details. Hug that hairline close to his head. Thicker line for the ear contour, then we'll use the thinner pen for finer details. Just get the whole jawline done here. Just kind of we'll work thicker on the outer perimeter and then move to finer details for the inside. Get this side here. I can get thinner lines with my 0.8 micron, so sometimes I'll drop in a thinner line. That has come with a lot of practice and familiarity with the micron. I've been using this brand for years. It's not sponsored by, none of these tools I'm using I'm not sponsored by anyone here. These are all just my personal preferences, my own purchases. So I don't want there to be any confusion to that. I know that's a thing. You have to say when it's a sponsored sort of thing or affiliate thing. This is not. If I'm ever using a tool I've been given by a company, I'll be sure to tell y'all, but this is just my own personal preference. What I pick up at the art supply store. Which is my toy store now. I love art supply stores. I go in and I am just like, I just want to buy everything. I want to buy everything because I want to try everything. I want to buy it because I want to try it. Not that I do. I can't afford to buy everything. I mean, come on. Art supply stores are huge. But I'll go in, I might see a new pen. It's like, oh, that looks interesting. I haven't seen that type of nib on a pen before. I want to buy one of these, take it home, experiment with it, see if I like it. And if I do, I'll go back to the store and buy some more. Sometimes I'll buy a pen, it's like, it's all right. Not quite serving the need that I have, so I probably won't buy this one again. But that's the fun thing of experimenting to see what I like, what works, what doesn't, what might take more practice to get used to. Put a little shadow underneath that collar there. Pop that collar. So let's see. Oh, let's go ahead and ink in his shield. Start with this inner circle line first. And the outer for that red. All right. Now I'm going to switch to my 01 micron. I'm an art ninja and these are my weapons. Yes, I consider all the tools that I use parts of my arsenal. My art arsenal for when I attack the paper. The art tools are my weapons and the paper is my battleground. And you too can be an art ninja with continued study and practice. My art Padawans. Sorry, I'm going to go all Jedi on you. What do you call a ninja in training? That's not a riddle or anything. I'm just curious. Do they have a term for ninjas who are like beginner ninjas? Beginjas? You're my beginjas. You're just beginning to learn your ninja skills. Student. Genin? I'll have to look up that word. Genin? I don't know how this might be the first time I'm ever seeing that word or reading it out loud. Well, here on in my live streams, you're beginjas. Not everybody's a beginja, but if you're just starting to start drawing, welcome. Glad you're here in the world of drawing. Oh, Jen and we're in Naruto. Gotcha. I have not seen Naruto. I've not taken the time to check that out yet. I mean, I recognize Naruto when I see it. I just have not watched the show. I know we have a lot of young artists. I've gotten messages from parents saying that their kids join in and have been enjoying watching these live streams during this COVID season and are starting to develop a love for drawing. So that was very encouraging to hear. And I know many of you have been learning some tips and tricks. I appreciate all those comments and messages saying that you've learned something. That means a lot. So I'm glad I'm able to share what I've learned with you, and it's been a benefit to you. We'll keep doing this for as long as we can. And yeah, so I know there's artists of all different skill sets and levels, from beginjas to intermediate ninjas to full-on art ninjas. So welcome everybody. You're all welcome here at my art dojo. Remember, we only use our skills for good. It's like this one, my last comment there made me think of that one. There's a Mystery Science Theater episode called, it's called Danger Death Ray. And this scientist, it's a really cheesy movie from the 1960s. And if you haven't heard of Mystery Science Theater, it's a show where this guy and his robots are trapped in space and they're forced to watch really cheesy movies. And they make jokes during the movies. I think you can find them on some of the streaming services. And one of the movies that they riffed on was called Danger Death Ray from the 1960s. And the scientist had invented a death ray, but he had designed it only for peaceful purposes. And it's like, wait, what? Why do you call it a death ray then? Peaceful purposes? He was so upset that the bad guy stole his death ray. It was meant for peaceful purposes. Don't think he thought that one all the way through. So yeah, I'm sure you'll be able to find that episode somewhere. It's really, really funny. Well, Mystery Science Theater itself is just a really funny show. I'm a big fan of the show. Even got to draw the comic book, the Mystery Science Theater comic book for Dark Horse last year. It was a really, really fun project, and I was really excited to be able to draw the comic book based on my favorite show. I got to meet the creator and cast of the Netflix version of the show. Got to go on set, so it was really, really, as a fan of the show, just such a fun time. And it was a really funny comic. 6-issue miniseries. If you haven't checked it out, if you like the show, you can get it in trade paperback now. Just look up Mystery Science Theater, the comic. You can probably find it at your local comic shop. And if you need stuff to do during this COVID season, reach out to your local comic shop. See if they're open, if they're doing curbside pickup, or they might even mail you your comics so you can place an order. Or if you have comics that are built up in your pull box, you can pick all that stuff up, help out your shops through this really difficult time, and keep yourself entertained, read some fun stories, see some cool art of this time of stay-at-home season. Okay, so that part will be filled in black. I'll have to fill that part in black, that part, that part. So these little X's remind myself, fill this in black, but not right now. Just gonna add some deeper shadows there on his neck muscle and shoulders here. So let's see, what did let's see, we got his chainmail, or I keep saying chainmail. I believe it's more of a scale mail, because he's got these scales. And he's a male, so I don't know why that makes a difference, but apparently it does. Oh wait, male is spelled M-A-I-L, not M-A-L-E. Gotcha. Scale mail. Dad jokes, people. I know you come for the art, but stay for the dad jokes. I don't have any kids of my own, so y'all have to be the recipient of my dad jokes. Especially you beginjers. All right, let's see. I'm going to switch to my 005 for some finer details here on the eyes. Want some tiny crisp lines here. You'd love to see me do a Captain America book. Like, yeah, to see me be an artist on the Captain America series. That would be fun. That would be fun. I've been a fan of this character since I was a kid. I first discovered Captain America in the 1970s. They made a Captain America made-for-TV movie starring, I think it was Reb Brown. And that's an actor who I know the name of because he was in one of my favorite Mystery Science Theater episodes. They lampooned a movie during the Sci-Fi Channel years, Space Mutiny. You ever get to see Mystery Science Theater 3000 episode Space Mutiny? I think that was late season 8. Oh my gosh. So good. Such a good, cheesy movie. The movie had gotten the rights to the original Battlestar Galactica space footage, so all the fighters and spaceships were all from the original 1970s Battlestar Galactica. Anyhow, that's what I first discovered Reb Brown and the made-for-TV Captain America movie that came out in the 1970s. I guess it was the late 1970s because I was a little kid. And I just thought, man, that he looks like the American flag. He's got that shield and the motorcycle and the van that he carries his motorcycle in. That guy's the coolest. That's how I talked when I was a small child. That guy's the coolest. Okay, we're going to put some texture here in the collar of his mock turtleneck shirt. Just like that, and then we'll fill that in black here. Okay, so, oh yeah, I need to, I want to create that fade. Sometimes what I like to do when I want a nice consistent fade, I'll use my French curve here, my trusty rusty French curve. It's made of plastic, so it never truly gets rusty, which is good. And so I'll pull, applying pressure, I go thin and then apply more pressure as I move towards the dark to create this gradation. So I go less pressure, more pressure as I move the line. It takes practice. Less pressure, more pressure. So I get a thin to thick line. Thin to thick. And then just slide the French curve down. Just a micro movement. And the closer I get to this chunk of black here, I go thicker lines to where you see less of the color of the paper. And it creates a nice fade there. So there you go, inkers. That's a trick you can do to get those. Get a very if you need a very strict, consistent fade. That is how I personally do it. All right, I need to give this a moment to dry because I know that ink is really wet, so I'm going to cap my microns back. Always cap your pens back, gang. Cap your pens back and you will maintain the longevity of the ink. It won't slowly evaporate out of your pen. If that's how it happens scientifically, I don't know. But I just know if I leave my caps off of my pens, I then have, they are dried out. So now I need to grab my eraser. So I lost yesterday's erasers. You know how I used the Staedtler Mars plastic eraser or the kneaded art gum erasers? Both of those disappeared off my desk yesterday, and I don't know if they fell off because I can't find them on the floor, or I don't know if I put them somewhere. So I had to bust out this Prismacolor plastic eraser, very similar to my Staedtler Mars. But I missed my kneaded art gum eraser, especially when I need it right now. So went on Amazon. Placed an order for some more in case I can't find mine, or maybe I somehow accidentally threw it away, but I don't foresee that happening. It's just weird. You know how you have something? It's like I just had it and now it is completely gone and nowhere where it should be or where it could have fallen to. It's probably with like car keys and socks. It's probably where my erasers have gone, to that mystical fantasy land where lost things go. Wherever they disappear to. But this Prismacolor eraser got the job done. So socks. You know how you lose socks? You know, you're doing the laundry and you're folding your socks and you knew you had all your socks when you put them in the laundry, but then now when it's time to fold them, somehow you're missing like at least one sock. It's like, where did it go? You look inside all the shirts. Did it somehow get pulled up into the shirt during the agitation cycle? All right, time for color. So we're going to start with some skin tones, some light skin tones for Cap and Steve. So we're going to start with a E01, and we're just going to work dark to light. So any place opposite of where the light source would be, which is pretty much from above. That's where I'm going to start with my darker shade of light shade skin tone. So like under the eye, under the eyebrow, bottom eyelid, down the jaw lines, underneath the nose, etc. Now for some E00. Just going to eat up more of this real estate. Now let's kick it over to some shades of pink, some R20. Love dropping in some pink around the nose, rosy up that nose, a little bit here over At the cheeks, just a little bit here through the lips, not too much. But definitely I like it here on the nose. Just like the way it gives life. A little R11 can start to blend. Blend some of this, the potency of that R20 out. So all these inks are going to blend with each other. They're made to activate and blend. Little R00, a very, very light shade of pink. Almost imperceptible, but it's a great blending color. So, and then when these all these inks dry, they will blend all together. Now, I use a little R000 just to kind of thin out that forehead and cheek highlight, a little bit here on the chin. Okay. Now let's tackle his blonde hair. So I'm going to start dark to light, some E84, kind of a khaki color. So don't go just straight yellow. Now, if you don't have these kind of tans, go straight yellow. That's totally cool. But this is how because of the tools I have, this is how I now sculpt my blonde hair. Some Y21, not Y2K, Y21, and then some Y00. Oh. And he's got blonde eyebrows. So we'll just use that khaki color here for the eyebrows. All right, let's hit those blue eyes, those baby blue eyes. Some B20. And let's go ahead and work on that, his blue uniform. So I'm going to start with some B05. Run it along the side of his face there. It's kind of my darker shade of blue that I'm going to use for this. So I'm considering the light that's hitting at the top of like his shoulder, his head, etc. Here on the armor, just drop a little blue at the bottom of each little scale. Let's come in with a little B04, start to make a gradation to the light source. Come in with some B02 now, an even lighter shade of blue. Just kind of let it fade out towards the top there. If you're a new viewer to my YouTube channel, welcome. Thanks for joining all of us here today. It's Alter Ego Week, so each character this week will see their regular identity and their secret identity on split in half. So let's see. What do I want now? Let's put in the brown strap here. So we'll start with some E34, I think. Might be a good shade of brown. Yeah, that brown works for my tastes. And then some E31. Now let's see. Let's drop in a little bit of red on that back side of the shield here, or that trim, where it just kind of starts to curve over. So some R27, little R24, And then we have his jacket. Let's try some shades of green. Let's try some G46. See if we can do kind of a military green. Let's kind of change up the color family to a BG93 to really olive drab that color out. Little G43. And blend it all with a little BG90. And for his mock turtleneck here, let's come with some neutral gray to kind of stay in the kind of dark family. Not quite black, but it's gives us some nice dark color there. So for the inside of his shield is oftentimes gray. Let's switch it to a cool gray. Let's go cool gray 5. For the inside of his shield. Some of that cool gray 5 in his buckle. And for his eye, we're going to have a little bit of shadow underneath there to give the roundedness of the eyeball. Maybe a little bit here on the sides of the teeth. I'm going to do the white pencil trick. If you're new to my channel, this is what I do when I have to put white on the artboard, or on the colored Post-it note. That's not white. So if I want to put some white on there, first I sculpt it with a little bit darker gray than I would use if I was coloring on white paper. I come in with any old brand of white colored pencil. And then color over that gray and that colored part of the paper to get white. And it lightens that shade of gray up to just the right shade that I would use if I was coloring on white paper. Okay, so we still need to add some realistic shadows on here. So let's grab some cool grays. I'm going to start with a cool gray 2. All those places where I put the dark skin color or dark costume color, that's where I'm going to put gray. A little bit underneath that swap of hair. Oh, I'm going to need to do some white on that A. I forgot that A. Let's see, over here on this side of his face. A little bit under that ear. Here where the mouth pulls. A little bit under this bottom lip. Anywhere that would be away from the light source. The bottoms of things, underneath things that might be overlapping. Let's see, down this cheek line here. Just a real subtle line there. To create shape and form to his face. Down here under his chin, absolutely. Absolutely. A little bit underneath the eyelid there, that bottom part of the eyelid, just a little tiny shadow. Same on that side. Let's pump it up to a cool gray 4. So the light's kind of coming from this direction, so we can put right here at the side of his head. Start to put a shadow right there at the cheek. Kind of following along that line I created there, just right on up. A little darker here underneath the chin, down the neckline. Here on the shoulder, right there on that little muscle striation. Throw a little gray here on that shoulder strap. Dop in a little gray on these shiny scales. Put some of this gray here in the wrinkles of his jacket collar. And underneath the collar, because we pop that collar. Just like that. Maybe use a little bit of this underneath his nose to really create some depth. All right. Oh, and you want to put a little bit of this cool gray through his hair. Not a lot, but just a little shadow. Like down here. Because there are some shadowy parts of the hair. So just like that, just so it's consistent. Oh, and let's see. I need that cool gray 4 again. Because we need to add white to his letter A. That letter A is a big white letter A. So I just put a little bit of gray here. Actually, that's quite a bit of gray. About half of it is gray for the shape of kind of like his brow. Now, because that's a darker shade of gray, I can now color over it with white pencil. Just the right light shade of gray that I would want. This is kind of a light colored piece of paper, Post-it note, so it's not far from white, but you can still kind of see, or at least I can see it. Hopefully it's translating on the live stream video here. It translates as, hopefully it translates as white. I think it kind of shows up as white. There's a kind of a delineation between the white and the color of the paper. All right, let's see. I'm still gonna have to fill these spots in black. Let's go ahead and do that now. What say? Let's fill them in now. So I'm gonna use my Pentel Pocket brush pen. Very carefully go in and fill in all these areas that I've indicated need to be black. So if I have a big chunk of black, I like to save filling in the blacks till after I do the color, just to give myself a little more insurance that I won't, the Copic marker won't smear the black line art. Sometimes the color could grab it and bring a black smear. So it's just easier, safer, better to wait and do the fill in the big black chunks afterwards, after you've done the color. Actually, I want to add a little more. As I have this big black of his shirt, I want to bring this. This is my zebra brush pen. I just want to pull up from there to create more of a fade into the collar. So it's a bit more of a transition. So I'm just pulling lines up, thick to thin, thick at the base, thin up. So it transitions a little more so than just lines. Big chunky black. This will give me the black that fades up into the collar. All right, so next up is the, how do you say, background. So we'll probably do one of my traditional fades. I want to try something different. I want to try an experiment, but can I pull it off? Again, if you've watched my live streams in the past, you know I'm a big proponent of experimenting. Trial and error. It's okay to just try. So whether it works out or doesn't, that's okay. But just give it a whirl, because you never know what you might learn. I'm going to, Stars and Stripes, I considered that, but what I was thinking of is fireworks. So we have like one big burst that will go here. I'm using a non-repro blue Pilot Color Eno mechanical pencil. So we have like one right there, one right there. And then we'll do one big one over here. And so they'll all radiate out. So, so I think this might, if all goes well, like I said, this is an experiment. If this all goes well, then hopefully this will look cool. So I'm going to start with some neutral gray 8 to start the dark night sky. And I'm kind of pulling towards, oh, where am I going to put my name when this is all done? I'll probably put it there on this jacket. Kind of pulling towards, feathering towards the firework burst that I've established. That's where that will be. And this non-repro blue is so light that we won't see my guidelines once I start filling in all this color. So this is 100% experimentation here. I had an idea. I'm utilizing the art skills I have developed over the course of my life from other experiments. If you saw my Thanos one, you saw how I did a Space Nebula in the background. This is that same mentality of working dark to light. So a little neutral gray 8, and then we're going to power down to a neutral gray 6, a lighter shade. Pull down a little bit further. So utilizing my Space Nebula skills from my Ninja Arsenal, I think I can pull off this experiment here. And then I'm going to pull this down a little bit further with some neutral gray 4, a lighter shade. So the very center of these bursts are what is going to be the brightest. All right, so now we are going to take some red, some R24, and from the gray area, pull inward to that center spot. So letting the red go over that gray. And then we're going to take it to some pink, some RV13. And some RV52 for the very center. And then for this one, we'll do maybe a really light blue. So we'll start with some B02. To some B01. I'll just fill that with B01. So I have a blue one there, and then we'll do a darker blue one over here, because I have a lot of blue on this side with this uniform. Put some more blue over here on this side to kind of balance out the blue. So some B04, just really getting all the way up into that dark gray. Now the background isn't the star of this piece here. Steve/Cap is. So my intention with the firework bursts here behind him are just kind of a background element that is just kind of there, but not the focus. So I don't have to go super duper detailed, but I definitely want to give some detail, but it's more about, it's kind of just a backdrop. And then some B01 there. Just a little something, give them a little bit of an environment to live in. Just to finish off that spot right there. Come back in with a little neutral gray 6 and kind of pull some fresh spark lines here through negative space, just to texture out the bursts a little bit more. So feel free to experiment, gang. Experiments and trial and error is how I've gotten to what I do now. Is just try. My dad encouraged me, just try. It doesn't matter if you fail. The only failure is not trying. Because if you try and you fail, well then you can learn. And what you learn, you apply to your next attempt. So it's never a failure. Never a true failure. The only true failure in his eyes was never trying. He goes, that would be the greatest disappointment, is if you never tried. Learn. Learning is what's going to help you level up. So, not his exact words, because those were said when I was a teenager long ago, but definitely was the spirit of it all. It's just to try. And so it gave me a lot of freedom to just, okay, I'll just try. I'll just try things. I want to do this thing. Okay, I'll just try to do it. So, and then I've learned. I've made mistakes, and I've learned from the mistakes. And that's how we get it, because we don't do this stuff perfectly, or very few of us. I'd say a vast majority of us. I'm going to say 99% of us don't do this stuff perfectly the first time we try. We've got to experiment. We've got to see what we can learn. All right, so time for the finishing move. The Univille Sigma white gel pen. Going to put this outline around Steve here. Taking it all the way up to the inked line, but not over the inked line. Remember, I don't want to lose that line weight. Have you seen my other art videos? Appreciate everyone's questions and comments. I'm so sorry I can't respond to them all. So much of my focus is on the art, doing the art, and sharing my tips and tricks. But I do appreciate all you live viewers commenting and posting questions. I try to address them as I go. That's how we got on this whole Art Ninja thing earlier in the live stream. I did catch that one. Caught a couple of them here. But I do want to let you know, especially if you're a new viewer and you're wondering why I'm not responding to questions or comments, that's the main reason why, is because I want to make sure I'm giving you the best instruction I can and try to do the best artwork that I can. All right, let's see, I need my circle template here so I can get that nice clean circle for his shield. Just right along the perimeter there. Actually, I'm going to create a little depth here by bringing the white line through onto Captain America, setting him apart from his shield just a little bit. Just like that. Create a little more depth. Now let's see, where's my white pencil? I'm going to add a few explosions, sparks, just inside the center here, maybe radiating out a little bit, just to really bring home that firework feel. So all the lines kind of radiate out from the center. So right now I'm just using some white pencil here for some nice subtle effect. And let's come in with a little bit of white gel pen just for some brighter sparks. Just real light touch. Now I'm drawing fireworks here out of memory, but if I needed to, sometimes I would go and pull up photo reference of fireworks and study them. Look at photos of fireworks and it's like, okay, how will I translate that with my line and shape? So it kind of gives a little bit of a bright, fuzzy firework texture. Now let's see, I want to put a little white highlight here in his eyes where I indicated with the line art. You put a little white highlight here on the metal of his shield, like that. Maybe a little white highlight here on the clasp of his shoulder strap. And that, my friends, is Steve Rogers / Captain America. I need to add my signature on here. I wonder if I can use my white gel pen. Let's try this. I have a Jelly Roll gel pen, making sure it's got enough juice in it. Yeah, we'll do my signature in white right here in this dark area. So using the Jelly Roll white gel pen. So today is the 21st of April. (2020). Heck, I should have drawn this one on the 4th of July. But I can't wait that long. I just can't wait that long. There we go. Steve Rogers / Captain America. Will I do Bruce Banner and the Hulk this week? I'm not sure. Not sure. It's a possibility. It is a possibility. We will see. I have thought through many of the characters I would like to do this week. Bruce Banner and the Hulk did cross my mind, so we will wait and see. Yeah, it looks like some of y'all are mentioning characters I've thought of, so we'll see if those will end up on my my Alter Ego Week live streams. So let's flip the camera around and we'll wrap up today's live stream. All right, how's it going, everybody? Let me plug back into the rig here. There we go. If you notice here, here's my Instagram account. Make sure you're following me on Instagram if you're on the gram. Head over to Gramtown. My link is in the video description below. And I will have post a link to this illustration once it's posted to my Instagram a little bit later on, so you can see a direct link, especially if you're watching on replay. Live viewers, thanks so much for hanging out with me. Replay viewers, thanks so much for tuning in and watching this video. Please, if you like this video, leave me a thumbs up. That's greatly appreciated. Thanks for all the comments, live viewers. I appreciate your comments and questions. And if you're watching this on replay, feel free to leave a comment in the videos in the comment section below. And if you've just discovered my channel, so glad you're here. Thank you. Welcome. Please subscribe. Just hit that subscribe button, tap that bell to set your notifications to alert you to when I'll be doing more live streams. And if you've been watching for a while, then you know I'm doing these Post-it Pop Art live stream videos every weekday morning, 9 a.m. Pacific time. That's 12 noon Eastern time, 4 p.m. Greenwich time. If you're international, you can calculate your time zone from there. And yeah, so tomorrow, an all-new character, Alter Ego. Who will I draw? I look forward to figuring that out myself. Thanks for all the suggestions, gang. I appreciate that. Thanks so much for hanging out with me. I hope you're doing well during this COVID time. Hopefully you're staying safe. Hopefully you're staying well. And hopefully you're keeping those hands thoroughly washed. This is a good washing motion. Make sure you get all those hands thoroughly washed. So hopefully we can knock this COVID-19 out and get back to as much of a normal life as possible. Remember to be kind to those that you encounter, especially if you know are people who are working in the hospitals and doctors' offices, people in the front lines. Give them a thank you. Delivery people, postal delivery people, post office, food delivery people, people working at restaurants. And grocery stores, stocking our shelves, ringing us up, bagging us up. Just a thank you. People who are working in law enforcement or EMTs, fire departments, thank them as well, because that can go a long way. And just your fellow neighbor or the people you're living with. Being in tight, cramped quarters all day we can get a little cranky sometimes. That's okay to feel that way, but let's try to course correct and say, I'm sorry, or I thank you, and have grace on each other so that we can navigate this time, because we need a lot of grace, we need a lot of mercy right now, because we're all going through this together. So just that little extra step can go a long way for not just them, but for yourself as well, to have a better mindset so that we can hopefully stay hopeful, stay upbeat, and just get to the other side of this really weird time in life. We'll look back on this and say, hopefully we came through as better people. At least that's what I'm shooting for. I hope you are too. Gang, thanks so much for hanging out with me. It's so much fun to draw with you, and I can't wait to meet up with y'all again tomorrow morning. Yeah, so till then, I'm Todd Nauck. Keep on drawing, keep having fun. All the best, everybody.